It is absolutely ridiculous that I live rent-free in his mind in a time in which the American people are suffering. It's already been reported on as it relates to the inflation. We know that the job numbers were bad. We know that this big, ugly bill is going to directly harm so many people, not just the 17 million that are going to lose their health care, but everyone else whose health care premiums are going to go up because $1 trillion is being taken out of the health care infrastructure. There's a lot of things he could be working on, but for some reason, he is constantly focused on me. And personally, I've never met the man. I have no interest in going to the White House and meeting him or talking to him.
That might surprise people that you've never met.
I have never met him, but for whatever reason, I live rent-free.
You know, just days ago, Trump dusted off one of his favorite insults that sparked this fierce response from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, where he said this about two of the Democratic Party's best hopes, perhaps, of survival.
You know, AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ, and we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right. Now it's time for them to take a test. Anyway, have a good time.
So we're all on the same page here. The test Trump was referring to measures cognitive decline, as made famous by this comically depressing interview.
Like a memory question. It's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go person, woman, man, camera, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Some point out that from the eyeball test alone, you can tell Donald Trump has really lost a step in the 5 years since that interview. Yet he's been cognizant enough to know when to turn that line of attack around on his opponent and who to target.
Kamala Harris, a low IQ individual, is running a campaign of hate, anger, and retribution. See, I'm very nice to them. They're not nice to me. She spends all of her time complaining about everything, but does nothing about it. She's going to do this, she's going to do that. Why the hell didn't she do it, right?
I could name 10, 15, 20 people right now just sitting here. No, I think we have a tremendous party. And you know what I can't name? I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats, they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do. And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. You know, it's good. Being challenged is okay. It keeps you sharp.
To be clear, Donald Trump has used the low IQ attack against Biden in the past.
Well, Kim Jong-un made a statement that Joe Biden is a low IQ individual. He probably is, based on his record. I think I agree with him on that. But at the same time, my people think it could have been a violation, as you know. I view it differently. I view it as a man. Perhaps he wants to get attention, and perhaps not. Who knows? It doesn't matter. Joe Biden is a low IQ individual, and he is truly the worst, most incompetent, and most corrupt president in the history of the United States. You know, I used to treat him with much more respect, but once they indicted me over charging a fake and broken and corrupt election. And then when this guy with no IQ, he's a low IQ individual, our president. Think of this. We have a low IQ individual as our president, and he's dealing with steel. He's dealing with President Xi.
But the central goal of the insult remains just as clear, playing into the misogyny and bigotry already present within the base. This isn't just a Trump thing, it's a political playbook move. Attacks like low IQ aren't about policy, they're dog whistles. They're meant to diminish the intelligence and legitimacy of women of color like Harris, Crockett, and AOC. They fuel right-wing talking points against diversity, equity, and inclusion and affirmative action. And whether it's MAGA leaders or media figures, the goal is the same: discredit qualified women of color by framing their success as unearned, even suspicious, rather than hard won.
Every time he does something, he has minions that see it as a dog whistle. And then it only increases the attacks on myself as well as any other colleague. But he absolutely consistently buys into this idea or continues to put it out there that women of color somehow are low IQ. Let me be clear. I have a lot more education than he does. This is just what it is, degree-wise. I have earned my degrees. My daddy didn't have to make a phone call to get me into anything because that wasn't a possibility, okay? So we can stop playing games as if I am somehow lesser than, while he has somehow hoodwinked enough people to become president of the United States, mostly because they thought he was a good businessman, but that is just because he's a Nepo baby. I promise you, if I was a Nepo baby and maybe a man, that I probably could too be president rather quickly, even though I am unqualified.
When all is said and done, this is how too many truly feel about women who break from their backwards, bigoted worldview. Crockett's rebuttal cut through the noise. She didn't flinch. She didn't go low. She flipped the script and turned Donald Trump's favorite insult into a mirror. And it reflected everything ugly about how to weaponize identity to keep power. What resonated most wasn't just her words, it was her refusal to play by their rules.
Many boomers, God bless them, this is not an accusation or criticism of boomers, had a much easier entry point into the American dream than this current generation. It was easier to work hard and to get ahead, to save. Going to university was cheaper. There was far less competition for housing. You were able to buy a home. And also, the dating pool was easier. It was not full of young women that are infected with the Jezebel spirit that had no interest in getting married or having children, that wanted to be the boss of the relationship.
And then you have Sonia Sotomayor, who is just dumb. I'm sorry. Sonia, she's a low IQ human being. Sonia Sotomayor is a fool. Kagan is not stupid. Breyer is not stupid. Sonia Sotomayor is dumb. She's a very stupid person. So Sonia Sotomayor was explicitly selected because, again, this is one of the problems with the sort of affirmative action approach of the left of politics. They selected Sonia Sotomayor because she was Latina. Not just Latina. She had said she is a wise Latina. She said in a speech in 2001 at the University of California, Berkeley Law School, quote, "I would hope that a wise Latina woman with the richness of her experiences would more often than not reach a better conclusion than a white male who hasn't lived that life." Of course, that is asinine. The basic notion of constitutional law is that the Constitution is available to reason for any human being, and that you do not bring your personal life experiences to bear on the Constitution. Instead, the Constitution is a series of words that have meanings, and those meanings can be interpreted by anyone who has a prefrontal cortex. But she had boiled it down into a sort of racial essentialism that you see in critical race theory.
And just when you think you've heard it all, here comes Charlie Kirk, from low IQ jabs to full-on panic about the so-called Jezebel spirit infecting young women. It all starts to sound like a coordinated message. Fundamentalist religious language, racial resentment, and fragile masculinity wrapped up in and sold as political platform. Demonize women who step out of line, especially women of color, and promise to restore a version of America where we knew our place.